People who ran into the super popular kid from school years later. How did he or she turn out? I think his name was Brad. Brad was a grade above me, and his situation was basically like the Kardashians. He was famous for being famous. He wasn't a football player and he wasn't particularly smart or charismatic. He was just inexplicably popular. Everyone in his grade celebrated every little thing he did, and he was homecoming king every year. He could do whatever he wanted with no consequence, because everyone would stand by him and cheer him on. No one knew why, but everyone loved him. I passed by him a couple years later in community college. He was no longer a celebrity. No one was paying attention to him, and he was no different than any other guy I walked past. It's hard to explain, but it was kind of sad. Like he was living this amazing life for no apparent reason and it all abruptly ended after graduation. One of them died right before senior year. She seemed like a snob, but was actually so nice. I sat by her in science and she didn't treat me like the dork I was. She was on her way to a Christian concert months after getting out of rehab and turning her life around, and died in a car accident. That still makes me pretty sad. Her viewing was at school during school hours. The other one married the most popular guy. They just had their first baby and they live a fun life of traveling in an RV for oil rig work. Here in Texas, that's considered normal to save up money for a house and get started in life. Both come from money, so they should do pretty well in life. He became a doctor and now makes more than probably the rest of the HS grad class combined. The other popular kids, many tried for professional athletic careers and dropped out and are trying to reconfigure what they want to do with their lives, since they basically coasted on athletics for their whole life. One or two became real estate agents. One of them spends most of their time traveling the world and jumping from university to university for the experience, but never actually finishing any meaningful degree. The rest fell off the face of the earth as far as I know, because I didn't have much reason to seek them out. This girl S and I were neighbors for 20 years and best friends for maybe 2 to 3 years in elementary school. We were cordial in high school, but barely exchanged words. She went off to Bayou to try and find a husband, but couldn't find one, and ended up getting a journalism degree that she doesn't even use now. I think she's involved in an MLM, which is weird, because she had a job working for a small-time news station before. My mom told me that a couple years ago she had found a decent guy and was close to getting engaged, but then her best friend at the time, a girl named Elle, stole him and married him. I kinda laughed at that first, but then got sad. That must have been quite a hell to go through. I don't really speak to her anymore at all. I haven't seen her in real life in maybe 4 to 5 years. She popped my balloons on my birthday during shop class my freshman year. Everyone picked on me and humiliated me because of it. She basically did it in front of me and challenged me to fight her to make her stop. I didn't. I was so tiny and non-confrontational. I stayed away from her the rest of high school. Saw her last year. She was working the register at the Dollar Tree. She looked strung out and worse for wear. Ours is a paraplegic. A year or two after graduating high school, he and a friend were driving drunk and the car crashed and landed on the roof. I do feel bad for the guy now. He was pretty good at the sports he played. I was never on good terms with the guy, since he was pretty inconsiderate. I'm not sure I'd say he was a bully, but he wasn't the nicest person either during the junior and senior years. I saw him at the 20-year reunion a year ago. I didn't really talk to him. All of his jock friends were talking about the great things they did in high school and that's about it. Someone else told me that he tried to kill himself a few times. I'm not sure if that was a rumor. I didn't ask for any more details. The popular guy got his bachelor's in biology, then master's in computer science from Columbia University, and worked for Google. He gained a little weight, but still winning at life. The popular girl married a nerdy guy with bad skin and they traveled all over the world. He's not nearly as attractive as her, but spoils her rotten. She took tons of traveling pics wearing nice dresses, making every girl jealous. Last time I checked, she's pregnant. She got pregnant age 17, and during the pregnancy, the father cheated on her with her BFF. 10 years later, she has a great job and is a single mom of a happy daughter. Met him at a mutual friend's wedding. We'd been close friends at one point but drifted apart. He was always so cocky and vain, but seemed a bit more down to earth and mature. Career wise, I don't think he was particularly successful though. A few years later, found out he committed suicide. She went to Yale for undergrad, then the University of Edinburgh for her MSc and the University of Colorado for medical school. She was very nice, an amazing athlete, extremely intelligent, and very attractive. Everyone liked her. If I remember correctly, she won state in women's singles tennis 3 years in a row. I just looked her up, and she's in the Department of Emergency Medicine at a prestigious medical school in the US. Good genetics on that one. One of the popular guys is now a real estate agent. It's kind of funny, because looking back he always just looked like a real estate agent and still does. I can't explain it, really. When I saw him on LinkedIn I just kind of said to myself, huh, he looks like a real estate agent. One of the popular girls ended up committing suicide. Postpartum depression. She was always real nice. It sucked getting that news. One of my buddies, he was more of the popular, because he had all the weed popular hung out with the shitheads of the school, all of whom were either in jail or dead. I don't think he ever got locked up as he ended up having a kid, losing a lot of weight, and putting time and effort into supporting his new family. It was great seeing that at my wife's 10-year reunion. She was a year behind me. He was on his way on closing on a house. The popular kid bullied me in elementary school, but when we got to middle school and high school we ended up bonding and becoming good friends. He transferred to another high school eventually, and we grew more distant, but talked from time to time, mostly politics. We couldn't have been more different, but I'll always have a connection to him. I give him credit for bringing me out of my shell in middle school and building me a social life. He died in September of last year from a heroin overdose. He was set to go to law school in November to become a family lawyer, which he told me last time we spoke, and was very excited about, since we were both children of divorce. Rest in peace, Nick. The whole town misses you every day. The super popular kid at my school was a genuinely nice guy who knew everyone by name and remembered stuff about you, so he could talk to you about your interests and make you feel like you were his friend. Incredible he had room for all that in his head as well as acing his schoolwork and exams. Ran into him a few years ago, and he's a doctor of mathematics teaching and doing research at one of the country's top universities. We had an interesting conversation about getting research grants. We also share a birthday, so we make a point to message each other on Facebook once a year, pretty much the only time we post anything. One of the most popular girls in my graduating class got pregnant at the very end of senior year. She wasn't very nice, but wasn't the worst. My best friend was good friends with her in middle school, but said that once they came to our high school she dropped my friend like a hot potato in favor of fitting in with the popular crowd. Her loss. She had her baby boy and got engaged to the dad, but they ended up breaking up. Some years later she actually ended up working at our high school doing some sort of admin work. She got caught having sex with her former English teacher and was fired. One of the most popular and successful girls in my high school would always get great grades. She'd land the lead in every school play. She came from a talented and wealthy family. Her brother was a guitar prodigy, and she was both student president and valedictorian. And she was really nice too. She was one of those people where you weren't jealous of her success, you aspired to be like her. I friended a mutual friend on Facebook several years ago and friended the popular girl as well. Turns out that she tried to kill herself and now spends a lot of her time advocating for suicide awareness and treatment of depression. It really opened my eyes. I guess that kind of pressure can drive even the most talented people to the brink. There was this kid nicknamed GTA because he would constantly boast about his allegedly crazy antics, which usually escalated from party binges to carjacking, picking random fights, and getting a free pass from prostitutes. He was kind of a dick, but a stand-up guy at the same time, so he was well liked anyways. Besides, he would do some crazy crap every once in a while to prove himself, so everyone either didn't mind his bullshit or truly believed him. This was when we were 17 or so. Well, lo and fucking behold, about a year after graduation I read about his death on the paper. Turns out he had the brilliant idea of stealing a car at a party, which turned out to belong to a cartel hotshot girlfriend. He and another friend were found dead on a hill with 23 bullets on his body and the word Ratus carved on his stomach. He died as he lived. I went to 2 high schools. At my first high school was a popular girl named Jaya. Unlike the rest of the popular girls, she was beautiful and nice. I never understood why she liked me, but she had some drug issues and thought I could relate because my mom was a drug addict. She studied abroad in Spain for a semester her senior year of college and I did the same in London. She flew to London for a weekend with a few friends, so we met up at her hostel. She was able to understand my quirks, like not being a big drinker, which my London cohort made fun of me for, and was surprised to see me with a drink at the nightclub we went to. But she saw that that was a big step for me, unlike how it seemed to be the normal thing for everyone else. We met up a few years ago for dinner, since I was about to head out to Israel for 10 months to teach English. She got some discount at the restaurant we went to since her dad built the counters in there, so she covered both our meals and drinks and I covered the tip. She has a successful career in advertising.